home.
Oh, dear. Did I miss that? Am I losing my concentration as well as everything else?
You were asleep, Father.
That's no excuse for incompetence. I used to be able to sleep and think at the same time. I was famous for it. How was Rigoletto? Still in Italian?
Still in Italian. Still wonderful.
Odd language. Where is Adolphe?
He couldn't meet me. Something came up.
You went alone?
Uh-huh.
Well, surely he met you afterwards and brought you home.
No, I managed that on my own, Father. Good night.
Claire, I assume that you took a carriage.
Yes.
There'll always be enough money for a carriage at night. I insist upon that.
Thank you, Father.
Well.
You didn't recognize me at all, did you?
I wasn't expecting you.
Well, I've changed. Last year for your visit, I was on holiday. Now, I'm engaged.
Well, I had no idea. Congratulations. now that you mention it, you do look different. You look,
I look engaged. You, on the other hand, look exactly the same. Even your boots, as I recall.
Well, I stand by the things I love.
Even your boots?
Down to my very boots. Claire, I don't understand. Your father is the best detective in all of France. How could they do such a thing? Why?
Jealousy, envy. The prefect of police has held a grudge against my father for many years. He comes to power, my father is retired. Unfortunately, power is a fact of life.
How long has it been?
Almost 2 months. I've never seen him this way. He hardly leaves the house. He stares out of the window all day long. He won't read the papers, and he won't eat. I pray your visit will be a tonic for him. He likes you very much.
Auguste Dupin retired from the force.
Well, you look less like your father every year.
What a relief, he would have said.
How is your mother living out there in that dreadful, healthy countryside? What a fate. Better still, how is your chest? Come and eat.
Father, Philippe might like a rest and something to eat before chess. I've got to be going.
Nothing comes before chess, my dear. Haven't I taught you anything?
I'll get that. Afterwards, I've got a pupil. Goodbye.
You have every right to be infuriated.
Thank you. I'm on my way out. I have a pupil.
I'll escort you. That's why I came. I have forsaken my lunch.
How very gallant of you.
Is there any use in my explaining, or would it make things worse?
I might try and see what happens.
Well, you can imagine my shock when I returned to my rooms and found them locked. There I was, standing in my everyday clothes, straight from the bank, and late already for meeting you at the opera.
You locked your door.
I did. Like a fool, I lost my keys. I'm sorry.
I don't quite believe your story. I don't accept your apology.
Shall we go to the ballet on Friday?
Absolutely not.
Wonderful. I'll meet you there at 8.
You will pick me up at 7:30.
You're late, Monsieur Le Bon, once again.
My mother isn't well. I have to buy her lunch. Excuse me.
Monsieur Dupin wishes to see you.
Come in.
Le Bon, monsieur.
Ah, Monsieur Le Bon. Madame L'Espanaye?
Madame?
Mademoiselle L'Espanaye?
Mademoiselle.
Our young Monsieur Le Bon. I wish you to accompany Madame L'Espanaye and her daughter to their home in the Rue Morgue, on foot. Madame has a fear of carriages. They have made a withdrawal in gold coins. You will carry it for them and see them safely to their door.
With pleasure, Monsieur Dupin.
Thank you. Sorry.
He would never have stood for it.
Never. What? Who are you just referring to?
Your father, of course.
That's incredible. But we haven't spoken a word in 10 minutes. The last thing we talked about was
The port. And from the port, your attention returned to the game. You concentrated for a time, made your move. But then your eyes drifted over to my globe. The same globe I had in my office at police headquarters. The same globe you used to study as a child on your visits to your father's office next door. And you reached for the port, but you stopped. Recalling, I suspect, your father's intense hatred of alcohol. It was at that moment Claire began playing Chopin. You looked away, your eyes filled, and you remembered the music box in his office. The very same melody that she's working on now. And you thought about him. And that's when I said he would never have stood for it. Supposing that, unlike me, he would not have allowed himself to be pensioned off without a battle.
My thoughts precisely. I'm sorry, Auguste.
Don't feel badly. I often wonder why I accepted it without a fight. I seem to have lost all stamina, all forcefulness. I tell you, my boy, you don't know what it's like. Not having a job without work. The humiliation, the uselessness, the fear of not having a roof over your family's head. And the rage. The absolute powerless rage. Excuse me.
I can't help but thinking that my presence here reminds him of my father and of better times. Perhaps my presence is too painful for him. Perhaps I should go home.
No, that would devastate him. He was worried that you wouldn't come at all now that he's off the force. That would just convince him of it. It's quite obvious. He adores you.
The son he never had?
Apparently.
And, how does he get along with your fiancé? Adolphe, is it?
Quite well. Good night, Philippe.
When am I going to get a chance to meet him? I thought perhaps he would drop by this evening.
Why is that?
Well, I suspect that if I were your fiancé, I would want to drop by and visit you every evening.
How exciting.
You fellas search the first floor. The rest of you follow me. We're coming in. You fellas come with me. The rest of you stay put. Check it thoroughly. I'll open the bag. Screams, blood, razor. Everything you need for a murder. Search the whole house. Every floor, every room. Look outside as well. If you find anything, call me. Don't touch.
Some fight, huh? You ever try lifting one of those mattresses by yourself? This guy was big.
Maybe 2 or 3 guys. So where are they? They didn't come down because we were coming up. The windows were all shut and nailed. Where the hell are the detectives? Pick that up.
Your preliminary findings.
As yet, no apparent motive. No trace of the killer. Or killers, Monsieur le Prefect. Only the razor, a common type.
But surely he entered and exited. I mean, I don't see him in the room, do you? How did he get in? How did he escape?
The windows are all nailed shut, Monsieur the Prefect. The chimney is too narrow by a great deal, and the trapdoor to the roof has been sealed tight and bolted for years.
The doors are locked from within. The gendarme and the neighbors came up the stairs. Surely they would have seen someone going down.
A superb piece of deduction, Alphonse. Tear this place apart. Look for secret passages. Look for something. Look for anything. I have screaming people out there, frightened to go home. By tomorrow morning, thanks to the press, the whole of Paris will be terrified. One of them is squeezed to death and then stuffed up a chimney like a rag doll. The other has her head cut off by a razor. Do you know how much strength that takes? I want these bodies examined here. No one is to see what has been done to them without my consent. Find something. Find it quickly. I will not be at the mercy of the press through your incompetence. What a mess!
Did anybody see what happened?
Monsieur le Prefect, do you have any...
Gentlemen, I shall make a statement to the neighbors. You may take it down. Good people, go back to your homes. Rest assured that this case is being handled only by the best. An arrest is imminent. You have my word. Imminent. No more questions. There's work to be done.
When we got inside, the screaming had stopped. But then we heard voices. One was definitely a Frenchman. The other, hard to say, German, Spanish. No, I think definitely German, no doubt. Might even have been a woman. German woman, perhaps, though I don't speak the language. German, yes.
It was real angry and loud, you know. Hard to make out the words. One was a Frenchman, I say that. The other sounded Italian. I don't speak it myself, but it sounded Italian, if you know what I mean. Must have been Italian. Or Swedish.
I live right next door. I've spoken to them any number of times. Hello, goodbye, nice day, like that. And it wasn't their voices we heard going up the stairs. One was a man, French. The other could have been a man, a foreigner maybe. Harsh, shrill, you know. Maybe even Oriental. But it wasn't their voices, you can quote me on that. Armand Duval, businessman.
And how well did you know them?
I have known them close to 3 years. She was a seamstress, I believe. The old lady. I wash for them. They were always very affectionate with each other. It was just the two of them, no servants.
No one gave evidence to the same effect. No one was spoken of as frequenting the house. It is not known whether there are any living relatives of Madame L'Espionnet and her daughter. The windows at the front of the house were seldom used. And those on the back of the house were never used, with the exception of the large back room, 4th story. A murder so mysterious, so perplexing in all its particulars was never before committed in all of Paris. If indeed a murder has been committed at all. Nonsense. The police seem entirely at a loss. How unusual. There does not seem to be, however, a shadow of a clue apparent. Well, this is really the most astonishing crime. Auguste, how will you begin to solve it?
I'm sorry, Philippe. What were you saying?
The murder's in the Rue Morgue.
Forgive me.
Auguste, You have spent your entire life solving the most impossible crimes. You cannot have lost interest so quickly.
Your ambition to be a detective is admirable, and I will continue to encourage you in every way I can. Would you like some more coffee and not a croissant?
No. Thank you. But Auguste.
My passion for the work seems to have vanished. I'm sorry.
I'll go and see who it is.
Beck? Alphonse. Gentlemen, what are you doing here? Those outfits are very attractive.
Forgive us, Inspector. We can't afford to be seen here. We must speak with you in confidence.
This is my godson. You can feel free.
You
It's
must
like
understand.
this.
Well, you've seen the papers this morning, Inspector?
I've heard, yes. Most puzzling problem.
No leads, no witnesses, zero. Fit.
He's demanding immediate results. The neighbors are terrified.
I don't doubt it. Get to the point, please.
Come in on the case, Inspector. He'll never know. You must see the absolute need for your services. The public.
We'll escort you ourselves. In secret. Consult with us.
You expect me to agree to such a proposal? Well, I should have known. No, gentlemen. For 42 years, I went into battle with every case that was put before me. The solution of a crime made my blood pump. I thought it was my reason for living. Nothing came before my work. Nothing. When my wife died, I was out sorting for buttons from a dead man's shirt. I never regretted it. Never, not once. I had a high calling, an honorable cause, the public trust. I thought it was my life. I let it become my life. And I'm a fool because of it. No, I can no more consult with you than I can apologize to the dead.
Father, you've got to do something. Adolphe has been arrested.
Adolphe arrested on what charge?
Murder.
Murder?
Murder of whom?
The Rue Morgue, those women? It's outrageous. They can't go around arresting innocent people.
Oh, they can, and they do often. Mm.
Of course, the bank clerk. I knew the name was familiar.
Let me see.
He is the man that escorted the women home with all the gold.
The gold was recovered?
Every coin right at the scene. There seems to be absolutely no motive. And what's even more astonishing, they cannot discover how the killer got there or how he left. Amazing strength the fellow had.
I'm terrified.
And with good reason. But if he's innocent, and I assume he is, he'll be freed in due course.
Is that all you can say?
Well, we'll keep a close watch on all developments. Close watch.
You must free him now.
My dear, I can't do that. I'm not a judge. I'm not even an inspector any longer.
Father, you have influence. You must use your influence and have him freed immediately.
And you must understand what has happened. I'm out to pasture. The prefect of police wants nothing to do with me.
If you offered your assistance on the case...
It's the last thing he wants, I'm afraid. As far as he's concerned, I'm a doddering old remnant.
Is that what you are?
Claire.
What?
What's the difference? He sits around the whole day with the shades drawn, bemoaning the state of his life, chastising his enemies, ignoring his friends, and pitying himself. Forgive me, but I think the prefect is right.
You don't seem to have heard what I've said.
What I hear is that you want no part of this calamity.
I am powerless to help you.
No, you're not! You cut yourself off. You live in this room! Father, you are one of the most respected men in this city. Every gendarme we pass on the street reveres you, and you know that! The prefect is one man. Surely there are others that you can approach.
I will approach no one.
Oh. Oh. Out of pride. That's it, isn't it? Because you will not permit yourself to take one step forward, Adolphe will remain in prison? Your pride is poisoning you. It's poisoning us all.
My God.
She's overwhelmed.
No.
It's a fiancée.
No, she's right.
She will regret every word of it.
She's right. She's absolutely right. I've allowed myself to become pathetic. Pathetic old man. Revolting. Did you buy all of the morning papers, Philip?
No, not all of them.
Bring them now, please. I have an apology to make. Philippe, there's work to be done. There was not an inch of any portion of the house which was not carefully searched. We pushed rushes up and down the chimneys, all too narrow to admit the passage of a human being. There is no back staircase by which anyone could have descended while the party proceeded up to the 4th floor. The body of Mademoiselle L'Espanaye was so firmly wedged into the chimney that it could not be got down until 4 or 5 men were brought together. The corpse of the young lady was said to be bruised and excoriated, as if she had been throttled to death by some person or persons. The corpse of the mother was understood to be horribly mutilated. The room was locked from within, and the windows were nailed shut.
Any motive for the murder, sir?
We have no motive as yet.
Well, you must be able to give us something, sir. We've heard that some of the victims have been found naked.
Yeah.
The women were all fully clothed.
Was there any robbery involved, sir?
Have you ever seen anything like
Oh, Auguste. Join us for lunch, Auguste. We are just going down the street to prepare.
Some other time. Jacques, thank you.
Morning, Inspector. Good to see you, sir.
Morning, Richard. Thank you. Nice to see you.
It was the most awful afternoon at the bank you can imagine. My head was thumping. I kept seeing stars in the corners of my eyes.
Oh, migraine.
Exactly that. I could hardly see to put my key in the front door. I threw the door open, and my briefcase fell on the floor.
Did you close the door?
No. I staggered for the stairs.
Your landlady, Adolphe, was she in? Any of your neighbors? You see, if they heard you or saw you, then...
Nobody. Not a sign of anybody. Perhaps my landlady was lying down. The next morning, my briefcase was just where I left it, and the door was closed. I must have passed out immediately.
Only to wake up to this.
This. Yes. And tell me, what exactly is your father doing for me?
Why, everything he can, of course.
Of course.
You mustn't worry about Claire.
What? Oh, no. My angel.
I just can't believe anyone thinking you capable of doing such a thing.
Monsieur le Préfect will see you now, Inspector.
Dupin, I can only give you a moment. I'm on my way out.
I expected no more than a moment, Monsieur le Préfect.
What exactly is it?
I believe you've arrested an innocent man and charged him with these murders in the Rue Morgue.
Is that a fact?
I'm not telling you anything you don't know already, sir.
Dupin? Are you suggesting that I knowingly arrest innocent people for murder?
Just this once.
What do you want?
Release Adolphe Le Bon into my custody.
Well, you are. Out of your mind.
He's my daughter's fiancé. I will be responsible for it.
Oh, I sympathize with you, and I expect the press will be touched, too. Only suspect released in custody of future father-in-law. They'd hang me by my thumbs.
Haven't they begun to do that already?
He will be given every opportunity to explain his innocence. Now, if you will excuse me.
Monsieur, every shopkeeper in Paris knows the boy is innocent. His arrest will fool no one. The people will be terrified when the sun goes down until you capture the real killer.
I suppose you've solved the case.
Retired from the force, practically feeble-minded, or have you forgotten?
Dupin, I would appreciate you using the back stairs. I wouldn't want an appearance together to confuse the press.
I'm sure you wouldn't. You will not release him then.
Isn't it wonderful how we can still detest one another, Dupin?
A never-ending delight, Monsieur le Préfect.
You all right, Claire?
Oh, yes. I love visiting my fiancé in prison. It makes us so much a part of everything. I'm sorry, Philippe. It's good of you to come with me. You didn't like Adolphe, did you?
Well, circumstances are hardly the best.
Honestly, what did you think of him?
Handsome, very sophisticated, probably quite charming. I didn't like him even a little bit, and I have no idea why you'd want to marry him. That is what you expected me to say.
Yes. But it's not what I hoped you'd say.
What happened? Nothing unexpected. Tell me about Adolphe. How was your meeting?
He lied to us. I watched him very closely. He was dissembling. Claire was very emotional.
Lied about what?
Well, he said that on the evening of the murder, he was home very early in bed with a headache. He saw no one saw him. I didn't believe him for a moment. He was hiding something from us.
I wonder.
Of course, surely you don't think that he committed these horrible murders.
Come with me.
Where are we going?
The Rue Morgue, of course. What is your opinion of these murders, Philippe?
My opinion is that they're an insoluble mystery. Everything that I've read, and I've read everything, I see no possible way to trace the murderers. The police are baffled, and how will I begin to outthink the Paris police?
I do exactly that. The police are cunning, but no more. The logic in their proceedings is more method. The last crime solved, how it's always been done before. They're very earnest, but without imagination, totally lacking in the analytical approach. They're more method than madness. He was afraid of me, Philippe. I could see it in his eyes. Twice in the last 10 years, I've been brought in on cases that he could not puncture, and I solved them with reason. Now, with his cape and his smile, he finds himself stuck on a very narrow ledge. How I would love to save him. Come along. I recognize the gendarme at the gate. Perhaps we're in luck.
I could lose my job for this, Inspector. But I'll be hanged if I'm going to turn you away. There's just been so many of them in there as it is.
Well, I'm very grateful myself.
None of these fellows can figure it out. Not even the boss. Grisly, awful thing. The wife is scared. Be brief, Inspector. They're all due back any time.
I've never seen a room in such.
Look carefully, Philippe. Use logic.
Murder scenes before, of course, but such violence, rage.
I've heard enough excuses for a lifetime.
Terrified town out there. This case should have been solved by now.
what a surprise. Why, it never occurred to me that you'd be scuttling around here.
Just paying my respects, sir.
Another future son-in-law?
Philippe Huron, monsieur.
Dupin, I could have you put away for this. You are a tiresome old fool, and I will not have you meddling in this case. You understand?
Unless, of course, you've discovered some evidence on your little visit here, in which case it will be your duty to tell me.
What evidence could I possibly uncover after all the hours that you have spent investigating this case?
Dupin, any further infractions from you, and I will make sure that you forfeit the small pension you already have. Do not be seen here again, or you wish you'd stayed at your chessboard. No more warnings, Dupin.
The idea of that fool talking to you in that manner. I wish you haven't said a word since we left the Rue Morgue. Is there nothing you can tell me? I've tried every single connection. I cannot, for the life of me, figure out how a killer could get inside or outside of that house. Why are we here?
Forgive me, Philippe. If you'll wait here, I won't be long.
Inspector, am I to be released? Is that why you're here?
Sit down, Adolf.
What is it? What do you want?
An address with a name.
I don't understand, Inspector.
I think you understand. An address with a name now, Adolf. Or I will do everything I possibly can to see that you are guillotined for these murders in the Rue Morgue. This is an address. There's a name with it. Go there and find out what you can. Take it wherever it leads you, wherever. I have some errands to run. I'll expect a full report in the morning.
You shall have one, Auguste.
Are you closing early this afternoon?
Oh, I wish. Are you a member of the Explorers?
No, I'm afraid I'm not.
Oh, some identification will do.
Where has everyone gone?
Home. Home, before dark. Do you know what a homicidal maniac is?
I've heard the term, yes.
I live near the morgue, and my brother is coming to get me in an hour. It's not just women he's after. People are saying he's indiscriminate.
Thank you. I'll be on my guard.
Yes?
I'd like to place an advertisement. Is it too late for the morning editions?
Please, come in.
Look out! Get out of the way, fool!
Well, monsieur.
Father, is that you?
The very same, my dear. Have you been home long?
I've been home since 4.
Ah, a greeting like that, I don't mind. On the contrary. Mwah.
Where have you been? Where's Philippe?
I have been at the scene of the crime. And a ghastly scene it is, too. Do we have any food? I could eat a sheep.
I'm making a stew. The butcher extended us credit till the end of the month.
Good for the butcher. Philippe is doing some legwork, learning the trade. I have a bit of reading to finish before dinner.
Father, have they called you in? Are you involved in this investigation?
I've called me in. We can't have the entire city quaking in its boots, can we? We can't have people murdered in their homes and innocent men arrested.
No, we can't. You really love it, don't you?
It's almost better than chess, my dear, isn't it? Meat. I do remember that smell.
But, Father, what about Adolphe? I suppose Philippe told you he has no alibi. He was sick in bed the night of the murders. Nobody saw him.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry? Well, how can I not worry?
Claire, he is innocent of this crime, and I'm going to see that he's freed. Shortly, I hope.
I knew you would. You really believe he's innocent? Well, if you're so sure, then you must know who did it.
The murderer is, as they say in the novels, still at large. Hello, my dear. What is it?
You lied to me.
I did? About what?
If you were so convinced of Adolphe's innocence, why did you interrogate him like a common thief?
It wasn't an interrogation, my dear.
You threatened him.
I'm more convinced of his innocence now than I was last night.
Yet you told him you'd send him to the guillotine? Is that what you suggest to innocent men?
I suggested to him the consequences of his not being forthright.
Who's not being forthright? I don't want to hear any more of it.
Excuse me if I interrupted.
No, come in.
I'm afraid I have some unpleasant news to report.
It can wait.
It's heartbreaking.
Yes, well, isn't that what youth is about? Heartbreak and ecstasy. Come, we're returning to the house in the Rue Morgue.
Tonight?
Yes, we're testing a theory, and we've got to move quickly. I'm expecting a visitor. At least I assume he will appear. And I don't want him here before we return. Oh, there's a small tool case in the kitchen closet. Bring it, will you? I'll meet you outside. We're indulging in a carriage. I know, Philly. These murders are considered to be insoluble for the very reason that they should be considered to be easy to solve. The outrageousness of it. The police and my dear friend, the prefect, are confounded by the seeming absence of motive. Not so much for the murders,
but for their atrocity.
Yes. And what about these voices at the top of the stairs? In all of your reading of the evidence, the witnesses, the newspapers, did you observe anything peculiar?
Everyone seemed to agree that the gruff voice was that of a Frenchman, but everyone seemed to disagree about the shrill voice, the harsh one.
Yes, each witness said it was a foreign voice. And each suggested a language totally unfamiliar to him. Keep that in your head, remember that. It lends a tendency to our inquiries in the rooms on the 4th floor, Rue Morgue. Chisels, skeleton keys, lockpicks. I've made some interesting friends. So, the doors leading from here to the hallway and from the kitchen were securely locked, the keys inside. No one could have escaped through the windows of the front room without the notice of the crowd in the street. Agreed?
Yes.
Not even a cat could have passed through at the top. What does that leave us?
The windows, but that's impossible. The police said the windows are nailed shut.
We must disprove the impossible. Stout nail. In almost to the head. The police seem not to have bothered to withdraw the nails and lift the sashes.
But if the windows are nailed shut, Auguste.
Reason, Philippe. It has to be the windows. The murderers could not have refastened the sash from the inside. Therefore, the sashes must have the ability to refasten themselves. There's no escaping this conclusion. A spring. Anyone passing through the window would have reclosed it, and the spring would have caught. But the nail could not have been replaced.
Must be the other window, then.
Let's see.
But the springs must be the same as the other window. The nail, it must be a difference between the nail.
Broken.
Astonishing.
Yeah? Logical, entirely logical. Come quickly.
Yes, but how could the killer descend? More importantly, how could he get up there in the first place?
You remember our walk behind the house up the alley?
Yes, of course.
Well, but how observant were you that afternoon? That lightning rod, Philly. Only about 5 feet from the very window we've been discussing.
But a man couldn't have climbed that lightning rod, let alone enter the window.
Yes, but look at the shutter. At right angles to the building, the lower half presents an excellent handhold. And when fully open, it's only about 2 feet from the gutter and the lightning rod. We must hurry.
But who could have climbed up that lightning rod and swung across the shutter into an open window 4 flights up?
An extraordinary individual, yes. Let's consider 2 facts. First, the amazing agility needed. And second, the peculiar shrill voice about whose nationality no 2 witnesses could agree. Don't speak. Think. Consider the room itself. Total disarray, clothes strewn all over. The desk, the mattress tossed as though with ease across the room. And the gold, intact, 4,000 francs, abandoned gold, all over the floor. Not yet arrived. You know, Philippe, the reason the police have had such difficulty establishing a motive is because there is no motive.
No motive, Auguste. A murder of such anger, brutality, the violence involved?
And? What do you have then? What?
A madman, an escape from the asylum?
Not an entirely irrelevant guess. What do you make of this? I found it in the chimney.
Well, hair is the color of the young woman.
Good observation, but?
But this is much too coarse. Hardly the hair of a young woman.
Examine this sketch of a hand. The spread of the fingers matches the marks on Mademoiselle L'Espagne's throat.
Good God.
I think he's arrived.
The killer?
Conceal it.
Good evening.
Good evening. Come in, please. Do come in. Apparently you've read my advertisement in the journal.
I did.
Please, sit down. Sit down. May I offer you some port? Remarkable fellow, this associate of yours. I've never encountered anyone quite like him. Very animated.
Where is he? Is he here?
Oh, no, I was unable to keep him here. He's quartered in the Rue du Bourg, just around the corner. You can join him in the morning. I assume you're prepared to identify him.
I am.
Well, I'll be very, very sad to part with him.
That won't go unnoticed. Your trouble, I mean, it's worth a reward. I thought it over.
Very generous. Let's see what would please me. I know. My reward will be this. You will give me all the information in your power about these murders in the Rue Morgue. My friend, you mustn't excite yourself unnecessarily. I pledge you the honor of a gentleman that we mean you no injury. We know that you are innocent of these atrocities in the Rue Morgue.
How do you know?
Please, sit down. You have nothing to fear. You've committed no crime. On the other hand, you are bound by every principle of honor to confess all you know. An innocent man is imprisoned.
I'll tell you everything I know, but I bet you're not going to believe half of it.
Try it.
I'm innocent, I swear. I'll tell you everything. I've lived with it too long.
Well, take your time. You're among friends. Why don't you begin at the beginning? I suspect that you were on a voyage.
Yes, in the Indian Ocean. We landed at Borneo. That's where I found him.
And you hope to turn a profit with him upon your return, I expect. I believe you dressed him in some of your clothes, a blue jumper.
Yes, he'd hurt his foot on the way back, and I wanted him to heal, so I locked him up in my room, in the closet. He was ferocious. The only thing he would respect was the whip. And one night, it was very late, I was coming back from a party. He broke out of the closet. His face was covered with shaving soap, and he had my razor in his hand. He was staring into a looking glass. I didn't know what to think. When he saw the whip, he dashed past me. He was on the street, waiting for me, waving the razor. Every time I got close to him, he was off and running again. It seemed to go on forever. The streets were empty. It must have been 4 in the morning. We didn't cross a soul. I was barely able to keep up. Finally, after crossing the river, he ran down a narrow street and turned up an alley. It was a large house on the corner. There was a light from a top window, and it must have caught his eye. A long pipe ran up the side of the building. He grabbed the shutter,
He swung himself to the window with a razor in his hand and he jumped inside. I didn't think twice. I've climbed a lot of rigging in my day. I had to get up there. I had to. I had no idea who was in that house or what he might do. Just as I reached the level of the windows, the screams began. The screams frightened him. And the way she was struggling. Suddenly, he reached down and he cut her throat. The blood put him in a frenzy. So he went for the other one. She had fainted. And he started strangling her. That's when he saw me.
Stop it! Get out!
And then he started stuffing the body up the chimney. Then he must have grabbed the other one and flung her out the window. By that time, I was on my way down. I must have slipped. My hands were all cut up. I don't even remember going home.
Well, is this yours? It's tied in a sailor's knot. I found it at the foot of the lightning rod. My friend, I'm afraid we have another surprise for you. Your associate is still loose.
He's loose?
But we'll capture him.
Where is he?
You have a net?
Yeah. Real thick hawser back at my rooms.
Good. We must move quickly. I have every reason to believe that he's living near the Rue Morgue in a natural habitat, the Bois.
Of course, the beggar strangled near the pond. I read it in the papers.
I'll go to headquarters and alert the police. If you will please fetch your net and meet us at the pond in the Bois. Philippe, I want you to go to the newspapers, give them the entire story, just as we've uncovered it, before the prefect of police attempts to turn it to his own advantage. Then join us at the Bois. Oh, and send the reporters too.
Auguste, we must tell Claire now that Le Bon will be freed. We know the killer.
Yes. You must tell her everything that you found out.
But there's no need for that now. Why hurt her? She doesn't need to know.
She doesn't?
But I haven't even told you yet. How do you know?
Very well. You tell her what you wish.
Excuse me, may I speak to you for a moment?
Certainly. Is something wrong, Philippe?
No.
Where are you going? Come in.
No, I just have a moment. Quite simply, your father has discovered the murderer, and Adolphe is sure to be released immediately. What? Your father is on his way to the police headquarters with the story, and I am on my way to the newspapers with the information.
He's done it! Adolphe will be freed. They'll have to reinstate father now, won't they?
I have to go to the newspapers.
Wait! What is it you're not telling me? Is it about the murderer?
I have to go.
Wait, I'm coming along. Just get my things. His name was written on that paper. Whose address was it?
You must understand, we had to find an alibi for him in order to clear him.
Who was it?
A woman.
Well, I didn't think it was his dentist the way you've been carrying on. Who was she?
Her name is Marie Armand. He spent the night at her house.
And?
Claire, isn't that enough?
No.
She said she was his fiancée.
His fiancée? But that's impossible. How could she? No. What else did you find out?
I did a complete investigation. That was my assignment. Since he has known you, he has been engaged to 3 other women, all quite wealthy. Apparently, he picked up his information at the bank. Claire, I wish I'd never found out.
Your father knows, doesn't he?
I told him nothing.
He knows. He probably knew from the first day we met. I chose not to look. He's a superb judge of character, my father. I'm sorry for keeping you. Let's go.
Claire. I'm sorry.
You are kind. You are, despite your boots, quite a gentleman. And I am a lot stronger than you might expect.
Inspector!
Is he here?
He's not to be disturbed.
I'm going to have you arrested. Well, committed, perhaps.
The killer is in the bois.
Oh, nonsense. Call the gendarme. Night behind bars will do you good, then I'm going to have your pension revoked. What are you doing? Don't!
For the good of Paris, I have to squeeze your temples together until they meet.
Monsieur le Prefect! Inspector Dupin!
Seize him!
Sergeant, hold your ground and you'll be a lieutenant before nightfall. Now you listen to me. I have Le Bon's alibi. I have proof of the killer's identity and the confession of his accomplice.
Ramblings of a lunatic.
And the press is on its way to the Bois at this moment with the details of my investigation for the morning editions, all except for the capture, which you might wish to supervise yourself.
Tell me who did it?
Get your man. I'll tell you on the way.
Claire, it's absolutely out of the question.
The Bois will be filled with police. I'm going alone.
He's a killer. You've read the reports. You know what he's done. Now it's absolutely too dangerous.
That's just what I need right now. A little danger. Something to scare me out of my wits. Is there any chance of that?
No. Yes. What do you think your father will say? Now, you just mustn't.
Is it my father's anger or my safety you're worried about? Choose one. It's no use. I'll follow you. Or I'll go by myself, or I'll go with that.
Claire, if you promise to stay very close.
Absolutely, yes.
What the real break in the case?
Gentlemen, Monsieur le Prefect.
I will lead the men in. I want you to stay behind. You and the sailor. I don't want you wandering off alone. This could be dangerous.
I suggest a slow sweep through the woods at arm's length. This is not your common criminal.
Of course, a sweep. A slow sweep at arm's length with torches. Forward slowly.
Slowly. Slowly.
I'm Claire Dupin. The pond is over there.
Monsieur le Prefect. Have your men watch the trees as well as the ground.
Watch the trees, you fools.
It's right over there.
Mr. Prefect, how closely did you work with Inspector Dupin on the case?
Like brothers, hand in glove every step of the way.
Exactly.
Yet you kept his presence on the case a secret. Why was that? We thought he was retired.
We thought it best to hide his identity. Until now, of course.
Inspector Dupin, the city owes you a great debt. Are we to assume that you will resume activities as usual?
Of course, without doubt. Quite clearly, we work well together, like brothers. And obviously, he's the best man I have.
Well, Inspector, are you ready to return full-time? Are you willing to give up retirement?
I wouldn't have it any other way. One must make a sacrifice from time to time, mustn't one?
Gentlemen, let me go over some details of the case.
Yes, please do.
It's finally over. Dear old David is here.